The new coronavirus first appeared in the city of Wuhan in central China. Medical workers spotted a cluster of cases of a new
As many as 1.9 million people in Ireland could catch coronavirus.
Today we had confirmation his
that
samples are positive.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
It is now officially declared the spread of the virus a pandemic.
We're holding this press briefing to confirm that Ireland has had its first case diagnosed of COVID-19.
We recognise that for many workers, this could be a decision that has a financial consequence.
We've not witnessed a pandemic of this nature in living memory, and this is uncharted territory for us.
Dublin City Community Co-op is a cooperative that has 13 members, and those members are all community development organisations that have been working in the areas for the last 20, 30 years. So they're embedded in the local communities within which they work. And the co-op office channels the funding from government for different funding programs.
Okay.
Each member is autonomous in their own right, and they deliver the services that they have been delivering to responding to needs over the last 20 or so years. The key success factor of the co-op is that the organisations are all embedded literally in the local areas where they've been working. They've been working there for 20 years. They know the people that they're working with, and they can respond swiftly to any situation that arises. And as you know, in different areas, there will be different needs, and those organizations can respond to those needs. So it affords the co-op flexibility, the ability to respond quickly to a situation, and they have relationships that the co-op itself could probably never hope to achieve because they've been there for so long and the local people trust them. Robert Emmet Community Development Project operate over near Oliver Bond Flats there in Dublin 8. And usually speaking, they run an after schools programme, and they also work with local tenants and residents associations in the area and provide a drop-in service for the local people. Robert Emmet Community Development Project is a tiny organisation with 2 paid workers, possibly 2.5 paid workers, and they're funded through the SICAP programme, which is the Social Inclusion and Community Activation Programme. And that is administered through Dublin City Council's LCDC, and the money comes from the Department of Rural and Community Development and PUBL. So what made it possible for Robert Emmet to change like that overnight, as it were, was that when COVID hit, the department and PUBL took a very flexible approach to the work programs that they funded. So they really supported local projects like that to respond to the need that was emerging on the ground, and not having to sort of carry on previous work over the phone or by Zoom. So that's what made that possible.
The social impact of COVID-19 in the southwest inner city, there's a really high population density, there's very few green spaces, the majority of people live in very small social housing units, around 400 square foot, the families are large. There's a lack of services in the area, and then when something like a virus hits that affects everybody, it's just a straw that breaks the camel's back. It pushes people into food poverty. Things like putting food on the table become a real issue. And that's the reason why we developed such a simple project as a community food programme. Normally, Robert Emmet Community Development Project runs our main service would be an after-school programme. And when that discontinued because of the outbreak of COVID-19 and our mandated closure, I guess we would have worried about the children who normally attend We normally feed them as part of the programme. We teach them cooking, and we'd be quite happy when they go home in the evening that they've been well looked after. And when we weren't in a position to do that, we decided initially to provide a small-scale food service to them. Then by watching the news, by listening to local people, you hear about all these other people who need services. We became worried about people leaving hospital and mightn't be able to look after themselves. We started working with the Mater Hospital, providing dinners initially and then food parcels to people who were discharged from hospital. We started working with local schools to provide food to children who normally would have been fed in the schools. And then just through word of mouth, it grew and grew from there.
Not a lot of people accept charity. Like, it's very hard, and like, to me, like, it's like, we've operated an after-school project here for a fair few years. I said we'll be 10, 15 years doing it now. And when you look at some of them children, it's probably the only meal. We bring them in, we feed them. That's the only meal they'll get, probably warm meal they'll get that day. So you have to remember that. Like, there is people here, and they're hungry.
There's always been huge poverty in the Liberties. And as I said, even before COVID-19, there was a lot of families there that were on the margins. Young men on their own, mental health issues. Some had drug issues. Children coming from backgrounds of drug and alcohol abuse. They might not even have a breakfast in the morning. I mean, we have kids in the Homo Club in Carmen Hall, and they're falling asleep when they come into me. So it was lacking nourishment. And I didn't blame the parents. So myself and the late John Gallagher that I haven't from, we seen the need that children were going to school hungry. The parents that could walk had to walk maybe at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So I meant children were coming home from school, not getting nothing to eat.
We would have been providing food to 265 people a week. That would have been about 230 food parcels a week, and then about 35 people getting dinners 5 days a week.
I think we were doing about 250 a day, 250 bags a day, 2 days a week, about 500 bags a week. And we would have a cold bag, which would be frozen food, like pizzas, fish, we'll say rice, bacon, sausages, that sort of stuff, which would go in the cold bag. And you'd have a dry bag, which is usually vegetables, cornflakes, various different, just some very odd things went into these bags, of butter and all that sort of stuff would go in there. So that's, and you'd pack about 250 bags of each, wouldn't you? Yeah, about 125 bags of cold and 125 dry. Then guys would come in and just pick them, delivering them, would take to them.
With the food parcels, we did that mainly in collaboration with Food Cloud. We would have gotten the food off them. There was a GAA club who helped us with some funding.
Food Cloud is a social enterprise that connects the food industry, who has surplus food, with the community sector that need and can use that food. Food Cloud do this in partnership with organisations like Robert Emmet Community Development Project in order to ensure that that food can be used to make meaningful impact in our society. We believe that food can be a powerful tool for connection, for engagement, for social inclusion, and in emergency situations such as the recent pandemic, as a valuable resource for people who need support in crisis.
We are running an online Zoom quiz over lockdown for our members to keep interacting with each other, and we decided to charge a small fee for entry to the quiz and donate the profits. So the two lads got on to us about the great work being done at Robert Emmet's, and we decided it was a great cause to donate our cash to.
There was collaboration required to identify the need in the community, would have been the main part, and then there was collaboration required to actually have the capacity to deliver a service. We aren't a food service to begin with. So in terms of identifying need, we would have worked with statutory agencies like the Mater Hospital.
Austin Campbell notified the hospital about the community food programme, and I've used the service a number of times in the past few months. I've really felt that the community food programme bridged the gap for a lot of vulnerable people from the hospital to home. It allowed people to get home quickly, and the service were so quick in all the responses. I really feel that it would benefit the community to have this as a permanent fixture.
Migrant Rights Centre Ireland people who'd recently moved to the country, free local schools, so St Mary's, St Audians and Francis Street CBS.
And I first came across the Robert Emmet Community Food Programme on our Facebook page, and I put some of the families that we work for in contact with them, and they've said some really great things about the centre. They found them to be really responsive and reliable, and they've really welcomed these food parcels each week during this really difficult time.
And then just a variety of Dublin City Co-op members and also other local charities and organisations in the area would refer people into us.
And I would like to thank Robert Emmet Centre for running very important programs. Right now, the most crucial and helpful program for us is the food program that they are running. And they're not only running that program, but they're running it in such a professional way, and people's dignity is not jeopardized.
The gratitude we received for providing people with food was actually overwhelming, because we were just doing a simple service, because we weren't providing our normal service. And the thanks and people coming out to the door with their children, people telling you about what they cook, it was, for me, really rewarding. But I was only at the end of the phone and on the computer. But for the volunteers, it seems to have been their main takeaway, to have been part of something so special and have been able to actually make a difference in such a kind of physical way.
We first find out about Robert Emmet CDP when we took the In Our Shoes walking tour of Dublin 8, and we find out the great job they are doing in our area. So we decided to join this amazing team to provide the food packages.
We love working on local community projects, and Robert Emmet CDP has given us the ability to help those who need it most. If I think about one insight we've gained, it would be how important it is to have centres like the Robert Emmet CDP that help support the local community during its hardest times.
I volunteered with the Robert Emmet Community Development Partnership because of the impact you can make almost immediately. Sometimes with charities you donate or you give and you don't really know the impact of the work that you do. With Robert Emmet Community Development Centre, when you go out and volunteer, you're bringing food parcels or things that people actually need to get by day to day. You get to meet the people, interact, break down those barriers, and you come away feeling incredibly privileged, obviously, but that you did something and you had an impact straight away, and that a food parcel might just change somebody's life for a week, but it's such an important impact to make.
It was a personal sense of like I had to do something. I was in panic mode at home I thought I'm going to get depressed. I'm going to, it was just, I live on my own. The contacts I've made here are all through classes and doing activities outside, and all of that shut down. The sense of being able to help other people and have chats with people every day, just to connect to people was really important to me, and it gave me a sense that I need to be more part of the community. When I came across food program, I thought that sounds something about being able to deliver groceries to people, and so I actually rented a car to be part of the program. I thought it was a good cause, and it was part of my community, so I thought this would be a great place to volunteer.
So to sum it up in a few words, for me the community food programme was responsive to community need. I hope it was dignified in that we provided a professional service that didn't undermine the people who received it in any way. The community food programme was a real connector. I think it connected the volunteers with the people who received the service. It connected us as a charity with a whole group of volunteers who are going to stay on board now into the future. And the last word that I think is very important is partnership. We are a very small community development programme who in no way could have done this without a large number of agencies. And I guess out of all the difficulties of COVID-19, that's a real strength to take forward and do projects together in the future.
Well, did you ever make a cannon made with lovely pickle cream, with the greens and scallions mingle like a picture in a dream? Did you ever make a hole on top to hold the melt and flake of the creamy flavoured butter that our mothers used to make? Oh, you did, so did he, and so did I. And the more I think about it, sure the nearer I'm to cry. Oh, weren't them the happy days when troubles we knew not, and our mothers made cold cannon in the little skillet pot? Well, did you ever take potato cake and boxed it to the school? Tucked underneath your oxter with your books, your slate and rule. And when teacher wasn't looking, sure a great big bite you'd take of the creamy flavoured, soft and melting sweet potato cake.